People around the world are panicking, and this time, it's not zombies. This is a quote from the book, and it is appropriate for what this book is all about because most apocalyptic scenarios we hear about today are all about zombies, but not this time. I'm Austin Sitterlit, senior at Salem High School, in Mr. Blakesley's Advanced Sci-Fi 3rd Hour class. I'll be doing a book talk today about this book, Zoo, by James Patterson. This book is a sci-fi thriller that hints at an apocalyptic path Earth is headed down that is led by Earth's mammals. This story takes place in the very near future, like a couple of years from now. Jackson Oz, the protagonist, is a Columbia University dropout, living alone in his dingy New York apartment with his pet/best friend Attila the chimpanzee. Oz dropped out of college not because he was a lazy kid, but because he was pursuing something he believed to be bigger than a diploma: human-animal conflict, or HAC as Oz called it. It was his theory that animals from all around the world were attacking humans increasingly. Work for Oz consists of sitting in front of his many TV screens, scanning the news, looking for more animal attacks, which you can imagine doesn't pay very much. Throughout this story, there are two main themes: greed and fear of change. While Oz was trying to convince everyone that HAC was a real event, people chose to ignore it out of fear. Humans acted out of greed as well. The reason HAC occurred was greed. Humans want and want with no end, and this pushed all of the animals off the edge. Why? Read to find out. Why do I love this book? Jackson Oz is the coolest guy I have never met. He's special because he isn't special at all. Just a normal guy that followed a hunch. And sadly, he was correct. I saw him transform from a slovenly loner who probably wouldn't care if the world ended to a father that would take his life to save mankind and his family. I look up to Oz and appreciate him as a character. This book doesn't tiptoe around the topic of pollution and how people are affecting animals. In real life, we can see how we hurt wildlife, but we don't really see any backlash. In Zoo, we see a world where humans harm animals and animals fight back. Maybe it's twisted, but I like seeing this story as a warning, but not over-the-top scary. Another reason I love this book was the organization of the story. James Patterson did a great job writing this book with separate stories within and jumping around the world to see different events and jumping into the future to see Oz's later years. Another reason why I love the book Zoo was the thrill factor. This book was scary, but it was the perfect amount of thrill. There weren't characters that were killed off every turn of the page, but there were some deaths. This was a classy book, but still had some horror in it. Another reason that I just loved this book was I love animals, and for anyone else that's looking for a good book on, sci-fi and nature, this is right up your alley. I found myself feeling guilty because I would actually cheer for the animals and not the humans, which sounds insane, but we're some pretty selfish people. Something that I caught on to in the book Zoo was Oz's apartment was actually almost like symbolizing Earth as a whole. I know, it sounds crazy, but I found it to be like an integral setting. In the beginning of the story, Oz describes his apartment as pretty dingy. It's, nothing special, and it's just enough for him to function in with Attila. Much like Earth today, it's kind of just what we function off of. It's not the perfect planet, and mainly because we haven't let it become that planet. We keep it where it is. It's not good. But when Oz leaves his apartment and leaves Attila and he goes to Africa, Attila trashes the apartment, which we come to find out was HAC, making Attila go crazy. I compare this to when humans let Earth go. When Oz stops taking care of his apartment, that's when Attila gets out of control and just wrecks it. That's why humans need to keep taking care of Earth today, because if not, I feel that James Patterson was trying to make some sort of correlation that it'll just spiral out of control and ultimately be destroyed. In the real world today, the Huffington Post reported the following, quote, "A group of researchers from Europe and Canada analyzed data on 697 documented attacks on humans by large carnivores, including bears, cougars, and coyotes. In North America, Russia, and 2 countries in Europe, they found that nearly half of all the observed attacks, which occurred between 1955 and 2014, involved risky behaviors on the part of the human victim." End quote. Humans continue to do whatever we want, and the animals are responding accordingly. We have this perception that the world was created for us and we can do whatever we want. But we share this world with many creatures that are bigger and stronger than us, and they are pushing back both in the world and in zoo. If you like animals, if you like the apocalyptic settings, if you like World War Z, you will love this book. Except in this book, it isn't man killing mankind, it's man's best friend killing mankind. But you have to read it to find out who will win. Thank you.